Hi, I'm Dana, and in the last few weeks I feel like I've more than ever seen the topic of autistic people hating themselves coming up on like Twitter and Reddit and in other people's YouTube videos, and it's a topic that I've avoided because I feel like I talk about loads of depressing topics and this is going to be very depressing, but I keep seeing it pop up and I want to put my 2 cents in and have my thoughts and opinions out in the world because I like talking. I like hearing my own voice and saying my little thoughts and opinions and not having anyone interrupt me. So I'm going to start by putting out sort of my experience and feelings on it, which is going to be really depressing, and then get to the slightly more depressing part of the reasons that I think are behind it. So if you don't want to watch a depressing video, you really want to leave now. I've personally always felt very uncomfortable when talking about hating myself, and I've struggled to fully figure out why, and perhaps I still haven't fully figured out why, but I think that it comes down to, like, when most people say it, it's a very offhanded, like, oh, hate myself. And, like, even when it's a deeper thing, it's perhaps a newer feeling. Whereas, personally, I kind of don't remember ever liking myself. So it's sort of just like, well, yeah, old news, you hate yourself, deal with it, get over it, like, come on, like, move on, you know? Like, I don't know, I feel very deeply uncomfortable, like, declaring that I hate myself. I feel like it's just I really don't know, I just feel very uncomfortable saying it. But I don't feel uncomfortable when other people tell me they hate themselves. I mean, I feel, like, bad, I'm like, oh shit, that sucks, but you're great, or whatever. But, you know, like, it's such a fact that's always been there for me that I sort of just feel very uncomfortable declaring it. It feels like it's sort of my little secret that I keep so other people don't know. That's the start of it. I don't think that there was ever a point, like, even in my early childhood where I liked myself. There was a point where I didn't necessarily hate myself, but I never liked myself. I was never, like, confident or thought that I was good at stuff or particularly liked myself in any way. And I think it was sort of a slow trickle down into hating myself, so I didn't really fully notice. I just, like, increasingly disliked myself more and more until it was a case of, like, oh god, I hate 99% of who I am as a person. You know, and especially, like, when you're feeling like that in your teen years and, like, your early 20s, which are definitely the most, like, developmental times, it doesn't do much for, like, your self-confidence, your self-esteem, the way you're viewed by other people. And I think part of why I've always been so uncomfortable saying that I hate myself is kind of because it feels like letting other people win. Like, at least if people who hate me have this perception of me as someone that likes myself, it's like, well, I like myself, so whatever you think doesn't matter. Whereas if they know that I too hate me, it's like we're almost part of the same club. I don't want to be. But yeah, even when I've had, like, achievements in my life and things that I should or could be proud of, I still sort of don't incorporate them into my view of myself as a whole. Because if you start incorporating the good things, it's harder to hate yourself, isn't it? So I just don't. But yeah, my overall experience is just that I never liked myself very much. And then I liked myself less and less and less until in probably, like, when I was about 13, got to a point where I was like, yo, I definitely hate myself. And then we've just sort of, like, cruised through from there, really. And by we, I mean I. And there's lots of reasons that I think are behind this. And this is normally where I'd be like, oh, this is more, like, applicable to other autistic people. But, like, as much as I know this is quite a common issue because I've seen a lot about it, I also really quite hope that there's not very many autistic people that hate themselves, you know? I don't want to think about any of you guys watching this thinking that, like, you hate yourself, that sucks, don't. I'm sure you're brilliant. But you know, we feel how we feel, it be the way it be. Ugh. So I am trying to keep this a bit more focused on the reasons that I think I hate myself that could then be expanded to other people. But I don't want to imply that lots of autistic people hate themselves. I don't think we should. I think the majority of us are pretty fantastic. And I don't want to be making, like, I suppose, somewhat vaguely educational content towards, like, for people that aren't autistic. I don't want to give neurotypicals the, like, impression that we all hate ourselves. I don't think that's a healthy impression of ourselves to put out there. So I am keeping this just on me, but I know that some of you are going to relate, and that sucks. So number one, I get lots of things wrong. Like, be it tasks, communication, school. I just got a lot of things wrong in general. You know, in most areas of my life, I get lots and lots of things wrong. So it's very easy to be like, God, you're a fucking idiot. This is why no one else likes you. I hate myself. You know? It's just so easy to be like, you've gotten this wrong again. Hate myself. I've done this again. Hate myself. And especially because, like, I try so hard not to get things wrong, and I still do. I hate myself. And alongside that, because I get things wrong so often, I'm often, like, really confused on how to get them right. I'm a very confused person. Like, 90% of my thought pattern out in life, in the world, is just, what? You what? What am I doing? What's happening? What? Like, that, I'm the confused bitch at all times, fucking always. And as much as I laugh about it, because I do find it kind of funny, I also hate it. It makes me hate myself. I hate being the confused person all the time, because it's like, God, get a fucking clue. Get a clue. But I can't, and it makes me hate myself. And these, I think, are very much, they're very much tied into being autistic, you know? I'm confused all the time because, like, people's social cues and people's body language and the faces they're making and the stuff they're doing with, like, it's all a mystery to me. I haven't got a fucking clue. And, you know, lots of us are like that. Lots of us are confused because there isn't enough context to things in the real world for us to fully understand. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the time, honestly, most of the time when I've seen other autistic people get something wrong in like a social interaction or whatever, it's more so, no, the autistic person has misunderstood what the neurotypical person said, and they've misunderstood what the autistic person said, so they've both gotten it wrong here, and it's just a, we misunderstood each other, let's laugh it off and move on situation. But instead, because we're considered the ones that are, like, inept at socialising in some way, we're the ones that have to take all the blame for the social interaction, and it's not fucking fair, and it makes me hate myself. And the other side of that is, like, I think most of us know, when people are just confused all the time, when you sort of, you know, it's an unfair judgment, but we've all met those people who are just like, God, how are you so fucking stupid? Like, I didn't realise that a person this dim could exist, but here you fucking are. You know, those people are annoying. They're fucking annoying, aren't they? You get pissed off with them. You don't like them. You don't like those people. And that's often been my experience. I've often been disliked by people. And I don't want this to be like a whole pity me video. Like, I'm not saying this is like a way for, like, to get sympathy. I really don't care for sympathy. It's just the facts, and the facts are kind of sad, so that's why I'm overcompensating by being really smiley. I'm so happy. But yeah, when you're consistently disliked by the majority of people you come across, you're gonna tend to start thinking, like, there must be something severely wrong for me for all of these people to dislike me to the point that they actively display or let me know that they dislike me. And that's probably gonna rewire my brain to also dislike me and make me hate myself. Because, you know, especially recently, I've had my girlfriend tell me about little times when, like, she's had nice interactions with strangers and stuff. And I'm like, I'm so happy that strangers are being nice to my girlfriend out in the world. I think everyone should be really, really nice to them because they're the best person ever. But I am just like, oh, other people, like, just like you just off the bat like that. They just think you're nice and cool. I mean, like, I get it, because I think that about it too. I like, thought she was fucking brilliant the moment I met him. But, like, strangers are just nice to you. That happens to people. Don't happen to me. Like, it's relatively, like, it's not never, but the majority of people that I come into contact with on, like, more than just a stranger level, they're not really nice to me. And especially in specifics for what my girlfriend was talking about, when other people talk about having, like, the really nice experiences in the bathroom, like in the women's bathroom at clubs, that's happened to me twice. Both of them were very, like, they weren't even nice, they were just not horrible, to be fair. And that's it. Whereas other girls have, like, these stories of, like, really nice things happening. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad that's the world you're living in, but, like, how do I do that? How do I get into that world? Because I ain't a part of it. And my final little reason that I think many of us will share is that I feel, like, often just very behind in life and very behind other people. You know, I think I think we all do that thing sometimes where you go on Facebook and look at people that you went to high school with and then you're like, oh my God, she was an idiot. How's she doing better than me now? Like, it's mean, it's harsh. I shouldn't do it. It's bad for me and it's just cruel on them. But also, why is a girl who spat in my hair and called me a dyke literally a fucking mental health nurse? What's that? Oof. But yeah, I feel very, very behind other people my age because I had to spend several years being burnt out, depressed as fuck, trying to figure out who I was and how I could get to a point in life where I didn't consistently want to unalive. You know, I had shit to deal with that wasn't learning and bettering myself. It was surviving and getting through and like trying to not be dead. Yeah, I told you this was gonna be cheerful, huh? But you know, it brings me down a lot. I'm like, God, I don't have a career, I don't have a degree, I don't have a child. Like, thank God I don't have a child, I'd be a terrible parent. But you know, so many people I went to high school with are parents and like married and shit now, and I'm like, am I meant to have done that? I don't know when I'm meant to have time to have like... See what I mean? It's getting me down now. I don't like to think about it, so I want to move off this topic fairly quickly. But yeah, it brings me down. It makes me hate myself because it feels like I should have done a lot more. It feels like, especially like, I think the most relatable autistic thing is being told as a kid that you've got so much potential, you're so smart, you're going to go so far, you're going to really go places. And then suddenly you're 25 and it's like, mate, the only places I go are Mackey's and my girlfriend's flat. Like... I haven't gone places, my buddy, like, you know. And I think a lot of it is like, oh, there's a phrase, I'm sure there's a phrase for what I'm thinking of. What I'm thinking of is that game that used to be about, that's like a board game where you had, you had a board game and there was like a donkey or a horse or something and it had like a little saddle and you had to load things on it, and eventually when it was too heavy you had to like fucking throw it all everywhere. Like, a lot of the time I think it's been that. You know, it's all of like the tiny, tiny little things that have all piled on top until I just hated myself. It's all of the little tiny, tiny social interactions that went wrong where that person probably didn't even think about it afterwards, but I spent the next like 4 days obsessing over how much I hated myself in that moment because it was so awkward. Or like every time I've been trying to just make myself a nice meal and I've slipped with the knife because like I'm clumsy as shit and I've cut my finger or I've fallen down the stairs or I've tripped over here. It's just all of these tiny little moments that add up to make me think like, I am such an embarrassing person. I lead such an embarrassing little life and I hate myself. Fuck. Oh. Oh. I don't think we need to delve any deeper into my feelings on this. I'd love to hear your feelings and thoughts and opinions and whatever else you've got happening in your head down in the comments, because there is nothing left in my head. My brain is falling out my ears and fucked off to Mallorca for the week. It's not here. So I'm gonna promote myself like YouTubers are meant to do. I've got links down in the little, what used to be the sidebar, I can't remember what people call it these days. I'm so old. But yeah, my links are down there. I post videos twice a week if you wanted to like and subscribe. They are predominantly autism focused, but I am trying to spread out a little and show myself as a more complex human being. I also, having caught sight of myself, want to apologise for the way my hair looks. My girlfriend gave me gel and that's why it looked decent for a few videos, because I like used this gel and then I ran out of it, so I was like, I'm gonna go and buy myself that gel. And then I was like, that gel's £14 for that little tub that I used up in like 2 months. So I didn't buy that gel. I got some like shit mousse that obviously isn't working for me. And I'm really quite annoyed about it because I did it last night and like washed it and made it look all nice and it was like proper ringlets, like it looked fucking amazing. And now that I'm filming, it looks like this. So whoever you are, I hope you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I'll see you again in a few days.